Hey everybody, it's Missy Wolf, and I am sitting in this beautiful home with Hollywood royalty, Miss Ruta Lee. How are you?
Well, aren't you dear? Thank you very, very much for such a lovely introduction. Royalty, my.
You are. Oh,
But,
my goodness.
You know, I will say one thing. You're sitting in this home, which in some ways did have royalty because Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles once lived here. And I keep rubbing my fanny on the walls, assuming the glamour will come off and stick to me.
Well, now how did you find that out? Did you know that when you bought the home, or did you find out after?
I didn't, because originally my family bought this house way back when, in the late 40s. And they had lived here in the earlier 40s. But they found out through the real estate people, of course.
Okay.
And I just think it's wonderful to have a house that has that kind of infinite glamour,
yes,
you know, that Rita Hayworth had. And isn't it interesting? I talk about her having all that glamour, and she was really a very simple, very down-to-earth, and very terrific lady. And years later, you know that I'm very much involved with a group called the Thalians, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the Thalians honored her. We raised money every year by honoring somebody wonderful in show business that not only dazzled us on the screen, large or small, or on stage, but dazzled us with their philanthropic performances as well. And we selected Rita Hayworth to be our honoree. And we didn't realize then, because so little was known about Alzheimer's and dementia. And she was already in the first stages of Alzheimer's. And when she got on stage, my beloved best friend Debbie Reynolds was the one that was kind of handling it at the moment. And she kind of covered for her and said, "Here, darling, why don't you just sit here on the stool, and all your friends want to tell you how much they love you." And it just breaks my heart. No, it doesn't break my heart. It warms it in many ways to think that I learned about her when I first saw movies, and then that she came into my life through the Thalians, and that I'm living in the house that she lived in. There's a very nice connection there, so thank you, God.
That is a definite full circle, moment, and how great. And I can't even imagine the stories that you have from your career and people you've worked with.
Then don't imagine, just get my book.
Yes.
Which is rather impolitely but sweetly called Consider Your Ass Kissed. And the reason I say that is because it's an expression that I've used for years. And my very good friend George Pinocchio, who is the red carpet man for ABC television, said, every time you are thanking people on the Thalian stage for giving you $5, $50, $500,000, you automatically say, "Please consider your ass kissed for doing this." Well, I mean it to everybody out there that has ever turned a television set on because I'm on, or bought a ticket to a theater to see me, or bought a ticket to a movie theater to see me. Please, my dear ones, consider your ass kissed. And the book, which is titled that, has all kinds of wonderful vignettes from my life with the fabulous people that I have known and loved, and that the world has known and loved.
Yes.
Great stars, great politicians, great sports figures. Everybody that I ever knew, I think, is mentioned. And I say in the book, I have a disclaimer. If you are a friend of mine and you're not mentioned in this book, blame the editor.
Right. Always. And the friendships that you've had, I have to say, I'm really jealous, because my hero, you were good friends with my hero, my all-time, and I watch her all the time. I love her, Lucille Ball.
Lucille Ball has been such a part of everybody's life. And I don't care what country you come from, and Lord knows that's what America is all about. People learn to speak English by watching Lucy. her face and her body is so expressive in every way that you understand Lucy, even if you're Guatemalan or you're Persian or you're anybody. It doesn't matter. I've heard from so many people that Lucy helped them learn the English language.
Yes, and Ricky helped people learn Spanish. Well, Desi Arnaz. But I also heard that you were part of the influence in her wearing polka dots.
Oh, I don't know that I was the influence. I know that she loved polka dots, and the first day that we met, I was very young and invited by somebody to the racetrack at Del Mar. They loved the races, and Desi certainly did. And I happened to be wearing a full-skirted, pretty dress when, lots of petticoats and stuff were in style. And it was black and white polka dots. And I think Lucy decided she liked me that day.
Aww.
And from then on, we became very, very good friends. Well, not quite from that day, because I finally went to work for her many times. And what a joyous experience it was. And a lot of people have always asked me about what it was like to work with Lucy.
Right.
And I have to say that Lucy was without a doubt a great taskmaster. She brooked no foolishness on the set. She wanted you to do what you had to do, because we worked with a 4-camera system, which means it's like performing live in front of an audience, which we did. Right. But there are 4 cameras, and staging where you're going to be on what line and when you're going to turn and what you're going to do is very much like learning a ballet routine.
Wow.
Because if I step forward to do something, I can be blocking somebody else's shot from the second camera or the third. Yeah. My nose will be in the shot, So she was tough, but boy, she was wonderful. And she, to me, was a very good friend. And we were socially good friends. I write about it in the book, the fact that she always loved my jewelry. I love big, clunky jewelry. This is the smallest jewelry I
was going to say, that
own.
one's not so big and clunky, but it's beautiful,
this is very
and I love
small.
it.
But I love big jewelry, the bigger the better. And she loved it. And of course, she was much taller than I and could carry it better than I did. And she would borrow my jewelry. And then she'd forget that she'd borrow it. And I'd have to call her and say, Lucy, can I borrow back my jewelry, please?
Oh, that is so incredible. And I'm so jealous of that. But I can picture it because, every interview I've seen, everything, she really was just an amazing woman. And you have had such an amazing career. You've done so many wonderful things. TV, The Twilight Zone.
Ah, yes.
Oh, what was that like?
Oh, it was wonderful because I got to play a little bitch. And they're much more fun to play than the goody two-shoes,
Yes.
It's very interesting. I've had such a wide range of acting experiences and acting roles. And every studio kind of had their version of what they thought I did. One of the places would be the sweet little mother of a baby girl, or another one I'd play a hooker with a heart of gold and teeth to match, and another place would be a Western cowboy kind of girl, And it's been a great career. I've worked all of my life. I've never reached superstardom above the title in a movie. But I've done movies, and I've worked all of my life, and so I'm very, very grateful to God for the blessing of having a great career that I have, of being an adopted daughter of the United States. And I just say, thank you, God, thank you for everything I've got, and keep blessing us even though we don't deserve it. We are so bad about what we're doing to ourselves and to this country.
Absolutely. And you're 100% right. And you have to thank God for where you are and what you have. And I consider you Hollywood royalty because you really do. You've had such an amazing career. You've worked with so many wonderful people, but you've made so many amazing friends. And I feel like the people at home watching movies, they don't realize that everyone is just another person, and they all have friendships, and they all have life experiences, good and bad, and they don't see celebrities sometimes as just human beings. And you have had just some amazing moments that are just very real, and you're very open and honest about everything and everyone. And I really respect that and admire that.
That's very sweet. Thank you very much, Missy. I always feel that with me, what you see is what you get. Now, you don't see that I can be a hell of a good performer singing and dancing and carrying on. And that's one of my favorite things is the live stage. You know, there's nothing quite like it. But most actors, performers, not just actors, musicians, singers, dancers, whatever, I admire for one very good reason, and that is that we are called on for every charity in the world, for every organization, for every do-good activity. Mm-hmm. And what do we performers do but give away the only thing we have to sell, which is our time and our talent. And I kind of admire that. I think, there are a few asses in our midst, let's face it. There are
in every industry, every workplace,
exactly.
Everywhere, yes.
But it's a tough life. It's a life filled with rejection from the very beginning to the very end. You are always at the whim and the wisdom and choice of a producer or a director. And quite often, and most often, it's no 100 times to the one yes, So it's a tough life that way. But I've got to say, Missy, that the laughs that we have, the humor and the camaraderie in show business is so fabulous. And the laughs we have, I'm sure you don't get selling insurance or shoes or cars. It's not the same.
Not the same. And the nice thing about your career, your industry, is that no matter what, you have left so much for so many people to enjoy year after year after year. And, those moments are captured forever on film and on video.
Thank God.
Yes.
Thank God, because I take a look at all the young people in our industry now who have no idea of what a Clark Gable was, or a Carol Lombard, or Mae West.
I met somebody who didn't know who John Wayne was the other day.
There you go.
And I was trying to explain, how do you not know John Wayne?
Yeah, they obviously are watching a lot of MTV and not enough of the good old movies on Turner Classic Movies.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Now, out of all the career opportunities you've had, is there one that just stands out to you that is just your favorite? I know you like the live stage.
Well, the live stage is why I think the best is that, look, in television, you do things very, very fast, but you hit a huge audience. Millions and millions of people with a hello. Right. Movies takes a lot more time and doesn't hit nearly the size audience. Theater is altogether smaller and hits a very small audience. However, folks, I've got to tell you, when you're on stage, or you're not on stage yet, and that overture starts on a musical above all, and you get out on stage, no matter how crappy you feel, you are buoyed, by the music and the energy. And to have an audience laughing with you, sighing with you, weeping with you, moaning with you, whatever. And if you get a standing ovation at the end of the show and a check at the end of the week, wow, that is really fabulous.
That's great. Now, I will say that when I have done live interviews with a live audience versus on camera, it is completely emotional for me when it's live. I feel everything more. I'm more terrified. I'm more nervous. But like you said, when they're reacting with you and they're laughing and it does make you feel really, really good. But boy, my nerves doing anything in front of a live audience is it's hard for me.
I have to comment on what you're saying. When you have a live audience, it's a learning experience, because when you deliver a line that you think is a joke and no one laughs, you say, I did that wrong. Something is wrong. And you learn how to time laughs And that's something that in television and in movies, you have to learn somehow by rote somewhere, because you have to hold for an audience to stop laughing, otherwise they're going to miss the next line coming up.
Got it,
and you have to learn that, and the only way you learn it is with a live audience, which transfers to film and everything else.
That's fantastic. All right, so everybody at home who's wanting to be in the film industry, listen to her. She's amazing. And where can they find your book?
Well, I hope you find it at Barnes & Noble, or go in and ask for it anyway. I always say, go to your local bookstore. They need the business so badly. Everything has gone down the toilet, with this damn COVID that we're in. And, of course, the simplest way is to go to Amazon.com and order it there, and it'll be there in a couple of days. It's I suggest it because the holiday season is upon us, and it's a great stocking stuffer. It's a beautiful little book. It has a lot of heart, a lot of fun stories, and I talk about everybody you've ever known in the business, because they're all mentioned one way or another. I do a quick synopsis of not all the guys, but a lot of the guys that we know that I've worked with, because I'm always asked about leading men, And I've got to tell you, one of them that knocked my socks off, of course, was Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
And I have a little to say about him. But you'll have to get the book.
See, and I want to know more about Dean Martin, too. See.
Dean Martin has to be, to this day, one of the funniest men God put on this earth.
And so handsome.
Innately funny.
Yes.
I mean, Jerry Lewis is the one that got all the jokes,
right.
But and Dean was sort of like the straight man for him. But he was innately funny. When we were doing Sergeants 3, which of course was the most fun I ever had working with the Rat Pack, with Dean Martin, Sammy Davis, Peter Lawford, headed by Frank Sinatra, Joey Bishop, Dean gave us all names.
Oh, gosh.
And Dean was drunky. Let's face it, he was not a drunk, but he played it beautifully.
He did.
So he was drunky. Sammy was smoky.
Okay.
Sammy Davis.
Yes.
Frank was the Pope, of course. And I was Loudy. And you're going to say, why did he call you Loudy? And he said, God didn't give Ruta a pair of breasts. He gave her a set of loudspeakers. So that was Dean Martin.
Oh my gosh, that is the funniest and best story ever. I mean, all of your stories are amazing, and I can't wait to actually read the full book. So I'm excited. I hope everybody at home, you need to get her book, because you need to give it, like she said, great Christmas gifts. Christmas is coming up, and I know that all your family and friends would love to hear her stories, and just go back in time for a moment to where life was happier. In my opinion, I feel like too many people are focused on today and what's going on today, and I think it would be a nice little travel through time moment and fun.
Well, certainly showbiz moments, you know, and some of the best that we all know. And let's face it, most of us, myself especially, are getting older by the minute, and there are not many of us still around that had the beginnings in that glorious golden age of television and movies that no longer really exists. You know, I find, I mean, there's some wonderful stuff on television. And in fact, there's too much wonderful stuff.
It's
you
very
never
hard
know
to
what
choose.
to watch. But the things that we all grew up with, that everybody, that we shared as an American family, are not the same. We're all very scattered now, and that makes me very unhappy, but that's all right. I'm sure all of our parents said, "Oh, the days were so much better."
They did, and they didn't like our music. And
No.
now as a child or as a mother of a child, I'm like, I don't like my kids' music. It goes on and on.
Oh,
I know.
Please, I don't understand why the Lord allowed rap to even be born.
Thank you.
Never mind exist.
I'm not that mom. I hear my kids turn that on. I'm like, please, not in my house. Just turn it off.
And the language that
it's
we
not.
are allowing our young people to use, wow, I don't know. I'm beginning to think a smack across the head or the fanny isn't such a bad idea to shape up.
A lot of them
You're in
need
the
it.
South.
Yes.
I somehow think that throughout the South, and certainly through Texas, where I spend a lot of time, there is still some politesse. You know, the children still say yes, ma'am,
They
no,
do.
sir, which I think, and yes, and
Yes.
thank you, and so on and so forth. And I really love that. And I wish that the North and the West and the East would remember some of that,
Yeah.
and to teach our children not to use the language that they do in the streets and everywhere else. It's awful.
Absolutely. And just overall respect. Just be respectful of other people. I
Yes.
think that the world is lacking a lot of that.
You put your finger right on it. You don't have to love your neighbor,
No.
just respect your neighbor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, I have to let her go because I would keep her all day for you if I could, but that is not how this works. So I have to let her go. Is there anything else you want to tell fans before we go?
Well, just that I really mean it when I say thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for allowing me into your home, whether it's on television or you've gone to a movie to see me or you've come to a play to see me or you buy my book. May I simply say, I wish you the best of the beautiful holidays that are coming up, and do consider your ass kissed.
Absolutely. And if you're ever in Hollywood, be sure to stop by her Hollywood Walk of Fame star because it's
yes.
glorious. And I'm so excited. I saw your picture over here. What a happy day that had to be.
Do you know my star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame is a treasure. I write about this in the book. I had worked at Grauman's Chinese. My star is there. And I had been fired because I got promoted from usherette, which I adored, where I could just stand there and watch my screen queens, you know, and pray to God that I would be doing that someday. And then I got promoted to Candy Girl. Math has never been my long suit. And I kind of said, oh, well, I can deal with this because it's 10 cents, 15 cents, 25 cents. I can deal with those increments of numbers. Then the cashier in the box office got sick one night. Oh, Lord. And I got promoted to cashier. And I said, I can't do this. I don't do math. Don't worry. You just punch in 2 tickets at $1.98, and then you put in $5 or $10, whatever they give you, and it'll give you the right change. Well, the machine is at fault. It gave away $40.
Oh.
And I was short $40, and I got fired. And I said to the manager, you're making a mistake. I didn't steal the money. I didn't do it. And someday I'm going to come back here, and my footprints are going to be in the courtyard of Grauman's Chinese. Guess where my star is? On the Hollywood Walk of Fame, right in front of the frappin' box office. Isn't that God working in mysterious ways?
That is 100% amazing. And we're just going to let this go here because just take that, listen to that, remember that, and live that. That is amazing. Until next time, guys, we'll see you soon.
God bless.